Semiotics, also known as the study of signs. This can often be a certain image or a colour used on a certain object. Semiotics are used to maybe tell us a story of what is going to happen in either a game or movie, without having to play or watch it. Such as if there's a piece of text in the colour red, then it will often mean danger or death, such as the red light on a traffic light. Sometimes the colour red doesn't have to mean blood or death, as it could also mean love, wealth, or desire. So in this case, the semiotics might have to rely more on the imagery used rather than the text to give us the story. Signs are polysemic. This means that they are often a word or a phrase, or even an image, that could have a multiple meaning. A denotation is what the image looks like to the naked eye. The image is judged on its visual appearance. For example, if we take this Batman logo, the denotation shows us that it's a black rectangle with a yellow oval on top, which has a black outline. On top of the yellow oval, it is a black bat. This image shows us 3 robots, probably from outer space, trying to take over the world by shooting out beams and lasers. The forest is also set on fire. But by looking at this image, we can also see a connotation. A connotation tells us what an image means. This image shows us that the world is being taken over by aliens. This is the game currently out, and we can tell by looking at this box art that the game will involve death. We know this because if you look at the title, you can clearly see the word dead in big bold lettering in a blood-like red font. We also know that the game will be set on an island, as that is also mentioned in the title. We can see several dead-like people on this cover, which shows that it could be some sort of zombie apocalypse. You can see a palm tree that shows off the island's habitat. However, it uses the rain and wind to make the game look darker. Video game genres are used to categorize video games based on the gameplay interaction rather than just the visual or narrative differences. There are many different genres such as first-person shooters, RPGs, adventure, sports, and action. In some cases, there can be certain games with a cross-genre. For example, a game like Borderlands is an RPG, however, the gameplay is that of a first-person shooter. The genre I'll be covering is an RPG.
We got her?
We got one of them.
Final Fantasy is a turn-based role-playing game. As like most RPGs, this game allows the player to be able to customize his characters. This is mainly done because of the leveling system put into place. Every time you battle against enemies, you will gain XP for your characters. This is just like other RPGs, such as Skyrim. In Final Fantasy 13, you can purchase upgrades for your characters and buy potions for Phoenix Stones. Final Fantasy is set in a fantasy universe in the future. The characters used in Final Fantasy are photorealistic. However, the environments are slightly exaggerated because there's certain stuff placed in the game that are unrealistic, such as cars and bikes that fly, as well as certain enemies. The game uses a turn-based battle system which allows the player to be able to use a range of attacks using guns, swords, and a range of different magic, which can all be upgraded in the game. In Final Fantasy, you can view the game to a variety of different camera angles. You can rotate the camera by using the right analog stick. When battling, the camera angles are slightly more limited, as the game chooses the best angle for you when in combat. Final Fantasy has not changed much in recent years. The gameplay has stayed the same, such as using the turn-based battle system, which Final Fantasy is most known for, as you can see in this video. Apart from the graphics changing dramatically, the rules and everything haven't changed. When this game was originally released, the technical aspects of this game weren't great, as the controls were extremely limited. You could not alter the camera in any way, mainly because analogs were not invented at this time. The camera was in bird's eye view, but when it came to battling, the camera would change to more side-on view. The game is aimed at the mainstream audience, and this has not changed even now. The gameplay is the same. The only difference is when these games were originally released, they were given a PEGI 11 on console, whereas now they are given a PEGI 16. This is because as the graphics have got stronger, the storylines have become much more immersive, as well as the difficulty of the game. A multi-strand narrative is a story which is told by different characters' points of view. Games such as Final Fantasy or Heavy Rain would be multi-strand, as these games are all based on several different characters, each character with their own story. These games can be both linear and non-linear. An open narrative is where the game does not have a proper start or ending. Every rain opens up on just a normal working day for your character Ethan. Although at the end, whether you save your son or not, the story just carries on. Whatever happens at the end will all be based on the decisions you made earlier on in the game. A closed narrative is similar to a book. The game will have a start, middle, and an end. Unlike games like Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto, which has some main quests as well as side missions, the game will have to start at a certain place and end at a certain place. This makes the game very linear, as there is only one way of completing the game, such as Final Fantasy or puzzle games like Rayman. Plot created a character theory. The villain who struggles against the hero. The donor prepares the hero or gives the hero some magical objects. The helper who helps the hero in the quest. The princess who marries the hero. Her father. The dispatcher. Stereotyping is where we make assumptions on certain types of people, then putting these people into groups, such as judging people on their looks, IQ, or age. For example, only people over the age of 60 watch Antiques Roadshow. However, this is stereotypical, so this might not be true. The royal family represents a typical northern family, who are supposed to have no job and do nothing but watch TV all day. This is stereotypical to northern people.